A quick tour of my Xfce desktop environment installation on Fedora 36. Okay, let's get started. Now here's my Fedora 36. This has Xfce. I did not install it. I did not install GNOME and then install Xfce over it or replace it. But on their page, on the Fedora page, if you look around, you'll find some spins. I believe it was a spin, and it was an Xfce spin. Okay, so that's how I did it. So yeah, it didn't come. It did come. It did ship with the Fedora. I didn't install it separately. Okay, so now I mean there's some stuff here I just want to highlight really quick. Now what I do when I first out of the box, yeah, this panel will be on top here. So you have to unlock it, and I unlocked it. You can right click on things and get some controls. And I moved it down here and locked it in place down here. I don't like it up here. This is where it starts out on top here. I don't know why. I like to have my panel, taskbar, whatever you want to call it, on the bottom, just like Windows, and with the start button, with the logo of the distro. And then of course here's my Fedora wallpaper with got some grainy effects here, which is pretty cool. I like this. I do like having desktop shortcuts with some identifying, information that shows you what the distro is too. Here's the sys tray down here with your notifications and whatnot. And here's the Xfce terminal. Just Xfce terminal. And I have it set up the way I want. It's one of the first things I do first is set up the terminal. I do the background color. I go from block cursor to a blinking underscore. I change. I give the user the capability of not having to type in the password for sudo every time, and I change the prompt. I don't need to have the host and name here. I know the host and name. I don't have to have it taking up extra space. So I remove the host. I'm sorry, the user and host, and I like to just have my working directory here, so I always know where I'm at. So yeah, you can see I'm on the home here. So this is one of the first things I do is kind of give the terminal some love, and I change the font. If I need to change the font color, size, and what was the other one? The size, I guess that was the color. Yeah, the color, the size, and the font type. So I give the terminal a little bit of love there. So I move it down. Okay, and then one of the main things I do first, I go through. Okay, so here's the start button here. I change you can right click on things and edit thing. I like the whisker menu. It comes with some other menu. And I don't like that default menu it comes with. I always change it to whisker menu. Then you can come here and poke around. First thing I do is I go through all the programs here. Start button, open the programs there. Everything. This is Mugshot. This didn't come like I had to use Mugshot library to be able to put this I guess it's an avatar, whatever. My name was already there. It just didn't. I couldn't load the image. I had to do a mugshot. You can look at the mugshot GitHub repo and figure out the instructions. Then you have all your shutdown and reload. Here's a big one here, a settings manager, which I think was also somewhere in here. Yeah. So I go through all these sections here, and I pick what I want to put on the desktop. That's one of my first orders of business. I go through all the applications, and I put whatever I think is going to be necessary. I don't put everything on the desktop, but I try to fish out what I think I'm going to use, what appeals to me or whatnot. So that's pretty much that. Then here's some of the things I deemed. Some things I may have installed post-install, of the Fedora. Other things were pre-installed and are here. So yeah, the home, the trash, some updaters. Although I don't really use these, they're kind of laggy. I think I don't know. I just use the terminal, and I do a standard DNF. I do the standard sudo DNF right here. I try to install what I can in the terminal with DNF. I don't know. I don't like these too much. And let's see some of the Libre stuff. Fedora. This is like another a package installer that doesn't come with the installation. I had to poke around for some instructions on how to install Fedora. And then I put the file manager, the terminal, obviously, display. I put BleachBit on there myself. And then the clam, the TK, the gparted, obviously, the Firefox, VS Code I put on there separately. That wasn't included. Docker I put on there. Zoom, Jupyter. I would say that the main thing you'd really want to have on your desktop would be the settings. You want to put the settings on your. I did. That's the way I like to have it. So we'll double click on that, open that, maximize, and you can do a lot of stuff from here. You can read through all these here, poke around. I do the power manager settings so it doesn't time out on me after 5 minutes. I don't like that. Some desktops work on certain distros and hardware, so they might have to poke around. Xfce may not work on your hardware. You may set it to a certain power plan and it doesn't work. So you have to maybe jump around different distros and whatnot. Different distros and or different DEs. So yeah, this is. Then you can come here and I did some stuff in here as far as changing my login screen, make it look a little better. But yeah, this is like a good central place to configure your Xfce installation here. So that's that settings right here, the settings, and you can find it. I think it's here, and you can also, I think, poke around down here as well. Down here, you can, pretty sure, yeah, down here, and put on the desktop. You set up also your theme. I like to have the blue highlighter here, and you can right-click on things, which I like. That's what I like about Xfce. You can right-click on things and do a lot of stuff. Really, I do like Xfce. Add to desktop. That's my favorite one right there. So I do that. And I would say probably the trickiest part is to deal with once you've right clicked and you wanted to move then you right click, you unlock the panel that's up here, you drag it down here to the bottom, and you lock it, then you drop it down here, and then you could relock it again. I would say maybe one of the more trickier aspects of Xfce that I don't really want to get into it because I don't want to mess things up, but it was how to kind of position things here, how to configure it so I don't have too many things popping up here, tooltips and whatnot. Also, tooltips popping up on when you hover over the desktop icons here. Tooltip. I don't need to have it tell me what it is or how to use it. I know what it is. So yeah, you can right click and and do your desktop settings here on how this looks and behaves. Main thing on the panel was how to position things. Like I want this all the way over here. I want the sys tray over here. The notification area. So the separation between that, and then you have your open windows here, minimized, and the space. So a lot of that's done through the whisker. Well, this is the whisker menu. So mainly, you want to put your mouse, your pointer over the taskbar, the panel here, right click, and you're going to have to get used to the separator, the panel. You can go to the panel preferences here, and you're going to have to get used to it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you're going to have to poke around, and then you can use this to, add the whisker menu if it's not already there. I like the whisker so you can add, remove, and fish around for what you need, for what that's not already there, or remove what is there. I add the whisker menu. Then you have to figure out, how you want things separated. The separator, whether it's transparent or not. Then what plugins you want, what notifications you want, which show up down here, and how you want these to be. So with the order you want them to show up here, I guess you can highlight, and then you can move it up and down. If you go up and down, you can move it left or right here. So you have to get. This is where you're gonna have to get good at stuff right here. Is in this items tab here. And then however which way you want. This is great. On GNOME, I couldn't figure out how to change the color of the taskbar without a lot of, or not, actually on KDE it was kind of a pain. Here, my God, this is so easy. Background and whatever color you want, boom, you're done. On KDE it was so, you had to go through a bunch of complicated, you have to figure out all the global themes and colors and plasma styles. It's really complicated. A little bit too much for just too much of a headache, I think KDE is sometimes. This is so simple, Boom, I just changed the color to blue. Then you can adjust your icons here. So, get used to, getting in here. This is where you lock it. You unlock it initially to bring it down, and when you drop it, you can lock it back up again. Then, you just go through all the row size, that's the vertical size here. The number of, actually, I'm sorry, I think the number of rows is actually the vertical, and then the rough, what the pixels were. I forgot that. I forgot how these, you have to poke around and see how these things work. Of course, and I like to have it all the way, end to end like that. So you're gonna have to get good here. Just one panel. Don't get cross yourself up by having different. Just make sure there's only one panel to start out with. So that's the main. That's the main thing about, I think, Xfce is getting used to how to deal with the panel, right? So yeah, you right click on it, then you go to properties, and then you could do the separate. There's like separators that would keep this from here, and I have it transparent so you can't see it. If I made it more visible, then you'd see there's like some symbols that will pop up here that keep this separated from that. Doesn't just happen on its own. Then you click to expand and it moves things left and right. So you got to play with these separators too. Very important. But the main thing is, would be going to the panel here, and you can do new items here, which just takes you to that spot that we came from, I do believe. So you can go new items from there. I would just, you can go there. I would also just go into the preferences and just poke around here. Main thing is here, how to make these look the way you want. But yeah, I go to the whisker menu. I like that one. I like that one better. Essentially, I think the whisker menu was how this looks here when you pop this up here. And this appeals to me. I like this, so I use the whisker menu. Like I said, I forgot what it was called out of the box. It's called like the application menu or something generic. Obviously, whisker is a take on their mascot being the mouse. Don't ask me why it's the mouse, but it is the mouse, and the whisker is kind of a take on that, since mice have whiskers, right? Okay, so let me show you just one more last thing here. I always do a neo fetch. And there's my Fedora on my MacBook with Xfce, with Intel. It's on a MacBook Pro. Got a very new kernel here. This is Fedora stuff now, real quick. This is the most current kernel. Bash shell, RPMs, Flatpaks, Xfce, Xfce terminal, Intel CPU, Intel GPU, and 4 gigs of RAM. Not a lot, but that's another good reason to have Xfce if you have a lower powered system, like such as this one could be considered, I guess, 4 gigs of RAM. Not a lot. You don't really want much less than that for computing these days. You want to have it 4, 8 would be better, I think, but at least 4. If you're at lower ranges of memory, then yeah, I would try to settle on one of the more lightweight DEs like Xfce, LXDE, maybe Mate or Cinnamon as well. Oh, I think GNOME and KDE have more of a reputation for being more resource hungry. So for lower RAM systems, yeah, Xfce would be a good choice. Okay. So like I said, it came. You go to the Fedora site, go to the spins, and it comes bundled already with. There's like a bunch of other different DEs as well, other than the main their flagship DE, which would be GNOME. You could choose from. I forgot what was in there. Xfce, KDE, Cinnamon, the usual suspects are in there. Take one more last look in here. About me. There's some kind of system information here or whatnot. I guess there's not. I'm not sure. Poke around. But system information mainly for me would be in the terminal here. I'm not sure if there was another system information snapshot, little app in the settings here or not, in all the apps and whatnot. I don't see it here. Just like saying, just the basic stuff. It's Fedora, it's Xfce, the kind of the same thing you would get in what you would see in a NeoFetch session, that you could see what's you could maybe find some other place here in the settings or in the other applications, some kind of system information. So that's pretty much about it. Like I said, you just have to get used to the panel, the main thing, and set this thing up down here. Separators, whisker menu, move these around. I like to have all these to the right. I like to have my start button to the left and have all my minimized windows here next to the start button. So that's, obviously there's that's a pretty good, I think this is a pretty good tour. There's definitely more as far as getting into the nuts and bolts of what I did before, when I had to click around and really had to figure out how to work with Xfce a couple of years ago or whatever, and I finally got the hang of it. Took me a while, but you just have to poke around and use some your skill and your intuition and trial and error. Try this, try that, see what happens. Trial and error. Just trying different things. Using your skill, your intuition, looking things up, asking questions. But I like Xfce. I like it a lot. Of course, with the extra little wallpaper, that's gives it a nice little touch. That wasn't there. I added that. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You can go to desktop settings. Actually, I downloaded this from the web, and it puts it. It put it on my system. I was able to browse to it from here. See, everything's so easy to understand. The graphics are really nice. I think KDE is a little bit too fancy for its own good. I think. I use it. All DEs have their good and bad, and I make it a point to have one of the six major. I haven't had Mate or Cinnamon yet, or LXD much, but I definitely have had hands-on with Xfce, GNOME, and KDE, like kind of the big three. I think there's a whole bunch of other ones that, Deepin, Pantheon, Budgie. My God, there's so many. So you could really get lost in DE hell trying to understand how they all work. Mainly, just try to focus on the six big ones: KDE, GNOME, Xfce, LXDE, Mate, Cinnamon. So this is good. You can poke around here for all your other desktop stuff. That's for the desktop, mind you. That's for the desktop here. And then for the panel, it would be down here. The panel, taskbar, dock, whatever you want to call it. So that's my setup for Xfce on Fedora 36. Okay, thank you.